Right now you have used the import java.util.scanner. Yes, we need to import the scanner class. Right. Right. You ask user enter the name, and then using the next method, you take the name, good. And then you ask user enter the student ID using the right. And then marks, next int, and then you get the total, then the average. Right. Now the others. Okay, now tell me. Okay, now this code will work. Yeah. Okay. Right now, tell me. Um, will there be any improvements you should have done to this code? Is there any places that you could enhance? Or it may be the variable types, it may be the data inputs, right? Likewise, is there any places you guys see where you can improve? Anyone? Now quickly talk. Dulaj, what do you think? Silva, Shahid, Vinuka, what do you think?
Sir,
Sorry?
is there any methods like round or something?
Sorry, Pute?
Is there any methods to round off numbers?
Yes, there are different ways of doing it. Right now, if you want to print a floating point number, float or double value with only two decimal numbers, either you could use system.out.printf, and then there you can pass some string formatting. Right now, for an example, um, here now you need to display this number, right? So you can put it inside modulus point 2f, right? Modulus point 2f modulus slash n. Likewise, you can have placeholder, and then you could do it, or else you could use a string dot format function, or you can use decimal format. Likewise, there are ways of doing it. We will try to there later on. How can you do it? Okay, right. Any other questions? Please ask.
Sir, this is from the last week.
Okay.
How the automatic conversions happen between the long and the float?
Is the automatic type conversion happens from the
Long and float?
long and float? Yes. Okay. Let me quickly show you that. Now let me remove this, and then okay, we'll take a long variable. Uh, long variable. We'll ask user to enter the long. We'll ask user to enter the long variable. We'll keep one. Okay, right. Long number, and method has to be next long, right? And then it has to be a long variable type. And then if you assign it to a float, f equals let's say long variable name is number, f equals number, right? And then if you represent the float variable value, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Right now, this is how it takes, right? Right, great. Now, the problem is now what we were talking right now. Here, I'm gonna show you the last time, right? Now, this is a little bit we're gonna do this later on as well, but just to show you that right now, here normally right now we have taken scanner class and then we have created an object from the scanner class and we are using it, right? So actually, what is this? You have no idea, right? So what I'm gonna do is here, I'm gonna create a class called student, right? I'm gonna create a class called student, and here I'm gonna create another one, class called student, right? And inside the student class, I'm gonna have a class called student. All right, now class called student. Inside the student class, I'm gonna have a method called let's say I'm gonna have a method called public. I'm gonna have let's say public method, public void hello. There's a method called hello in the student class, right? And there I'm gonna print here hello from uh, student. Student says hello. Right now I have a class called student. Right now, then here I'm gonna show student says hello. Right now this file also I'm gonna save in the same location where I have the in my desktop. That's in my desktop. I'm gonna create a folder called let's say code. Inside the code, I'm gonna save this as student.java. Right, and then previously I had my what the test class also test also inside the desktop. Therefore, I'm going to put it inside the code folder. Right now here this one also. Right now, let me open it inside the desktop. Inside the code, I have the test. Right now, I have the test class and the student class. Right now, the student class and both here the student class and the test class both inside the same folder code. Right now, let me. I'm not good in that much drawing, but just for your reference, I'm going to create a folder called code now. Here, this is the code folder, and inside the code folder, let's use the right color. Right now, inside the code folder, I have both files. Yeah, student.java and test.java. Right now, both are at the same place. Okay. Right now, inside this, I have both. Okay. Right. Right now, I have these two inside the same place. Right. Correct. Now, I'm gonna Now, if I open this, now this is how you can see as well, right? Right. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to compile. Right now, what I'm going to do is from the test class, I'm not going to use the scanner for a while. I need to run the student class. I want to run the student class. I want to run the student class hello method, right? But now remember, this the hello method is inside the student class. So if I create student, I want to run student class, or I want to create a student class object because I wanted to access the student class hello method. I wanted to access the student class hello method. Now both are in the same place, right? So what I'm going to do is I want to create an object from the student class. Now I want to save the student class object. So the student class object can be saved inside only student type variable. So I need to create student type variable. I'm going to name it as stu, let's say, equals, I need to create an object from the student class. So I'm going to use the new keyword followed by the student constructor. Right now, okay, now we have not compiled anything. No? Right now, just focus on the student class. Right now, this is the student class. Okay. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna right now I'm gonna compile the student class. Java C student Java. Right now, this is not here. No? First of all, I need to go inside the code folder. Then Java C student.java. Right now, if there is no any syntax errors, it would create the class file. Right, the student class is there. Right now, student class is there. Right now, the student class is there. Right now, this is what we're gonna run. Right now, we're gonna write Java student. If you type to run the Java student, now it will give us an error saying main method not found. Therefore, because there is no main method, you know that the main method starts the execution of a Java program. Therefore, if there is no main method, that cannot run. Okay. Therefore, it says define the main method as follows. Right now, I want to see what's inside the student class. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the student class and see what's inside. Now, this is what the byte. Now, you know that this is what we call as the bytecode, right? Now, this is what we call as the bytecode. If this is the bytecode, now this is how it looks like. We cannot read it, right? So, if I have the bytecode, I can disassemble by Java P and the bytecode student.class. Right now, when I say Java P, now what does it say? Right now, when I disassemble, right now it says what? In the line code number 0. Right now here we have create method Java language object, which is this student. Right now, this is our student class. Right now, you can see this is actually what we have written. Okay. Now, do you see something called this inside this source code? Do you see anything called
Amme.
student and the brackets? Do you see it here?
Phone karangan nu gana tanaga.
Sorry, Dulaj? I couldn't hear you. Right now, this is what you call as a constructor. Now you can see it is not there. But the hello method, yes, the hello method it shows. It shows the hello method. When you disassemble, it says this file was compiled from student.java because we have disassembled the student class. No, now it says this was from student.java file. Original source file is this, and the class name was student. And there you have something called student, and you have opened the bracket and closed the bracket. Unfortunately, which is not visible in the source code. This part is not visible in the source code. And inside this, it says load underscore 0, and it says invoke special, and invoke special, then here method java lang.object in it and return. Right, now when it comes to hello, right now this is what we can see already. Now inside this you can see here, right now inside the hello method, right now it says get static 7, and it has system.out.print string, and then it has a student says hello, that's the content, and it uses the method print stream dot println java.io.printstream dot println using by passing a string value. Now likewise here it says it is returning it is return value, and it is calling the system.out.println. It calls the system.out.println. It says right now. Now by looking at this, now you can see in the both when you disassemble, it shows that it has something similar to the class name. 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 Right now, this is what you have student. Right now, this is what you call as a construct. Now, this was missing here in the source code. Right. Now, this is the other method what we have here. Right now, inside this method also, if you look at it, if you do the reverse engineering, you can see, okay, the method name was hello. From here, you can't figure it out, right? Now, you can't figure it out, no? You can only see it uses system.out to print stream student says hello. And it passes a string value to the print method student says hello. And it says source file is student.java. That's the only context you can read, right? Then here you can see now, yes, the hello method, public void hello, that's the way it has been defined. And it has system.out.println, and there it passes a string value saying student says hello. Now that's how it looks. Right now here, in when you disassemble, now you can see it has something called student. Right. Now that is what you call as a constructor. Now this is generated by the compiler itself. When you compile a Java code, right? When you compile a Java code, compiler will automatically generate the constructor. Compiler will automatically generate the constructor if you have not defined. If you have not defined, then the default constructor. Then we call it as the default constructor. Compiler will generate. Right. Now what I'm going to do is here, I want to create an object from the student class. So I want to access this student class, so I'm creating an object. This object is stu. Object has to store. Then I'm declaring a variable with the type of student because I want to save it inside the student way. And stu is the object sub object name and equals new. I want to create a new object and I want to initialize the object by calling the constructor of the student class. I'm calling this. I'm calling this. Right now, this is what I'm calling this. Or calling this. This is what I'm doing. Right now, hereafter I can say student dot and the student has a method called hello. And let's say I'm gonna have it as say hello, right? Then I'm gonna call student dot say hello. Student dot say hello. All right. Now let me save this. Now if I compile my test class, right now if I compile my Java C test.java, right, I'm going to compile. Then if you look at carefully, now it says what? stu dot say hello, variable stu, a method say hello cannot find. Yes, I have just changed it to a say hello. I have not typed it, right? Saved it. And even though I have saved it, I have not compiled. Right now, let's see. Now, here the other thing as well. Right now, if I'm going to remove both class files. Okay, I have only the source files here. Now, if I compile, both files get compiled. Now, see, both test and the student files get compiled because I'm creating an object from the student class. Now, this happens because both files at the same place. Both files at the same place. Now, if I run this Java test, it says student says hello. Now it says student says hello. Why? Because both files at the same place. Both classes at the same place. Both classes at the same place. Right. Right. Now these are the two classes that we have created. Now here inside the desktop code, I have created this student file and the test file. And this is how it works. Right. Now I'll give you 1 minute for you to quickly try out and let me know. If you have finished, let me know. If you have any questions, quickly let me know. Then I can show you again. Because time is flying, therefore we need to do it quickly. Now, even right now, once you compile, now let me show you something as well. Well, now I have already opened the notepad files now, so it won't be any issue. Like I'm gonna delete this student.java file here right now, and I'm gonna delete the test.java file here because already compiled, right? Already compiled. Therefore, if I just type Java test, it works. See? If you change the name of the class file here now, let's say a student right now, here you will get an error because the class not found error because the student class cannot be found. Therefore, you can see here now you don't need the source code to run your code, right? Once you compile, if you have the bytecode, right, using the bytecode, you can run the code. Now the code works with only the class file, so with only the bytecode, right? Now, therefore, no need to have the source code after you compile. You don't need the source code unless you need to recompile. Right. Now I think time enough. Now I'm going to show you. Let's say I want to create another folder. What I'm going to do is here I'm going to create another folder inside the code folder called com. Now this is what I'm planning to do. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete these both class files, not required at all. So I'm gonna delete the class files, right? I want to save the test.java file inside the code folder. So I'm gonna click file. Uh, so I have write again. Right, class test. We had this, and then we had the public static void main. Right now, what I did was I have created the student class object called STU. You can have any name, huh? Yes. New student. S dot say hello. That was the method name. Wow. Good, good, good. I thought I could copy. Right. Huh. S dot say hello. Right. This was the class name. I wanted to save this inside the code for test.java. Right now, test.java is there, right? And here, this was the class student. Right now, I wanted to have copy public say void no return types. Therefore, say hello. This system.out.println. Student says hello. And for the time being, I'm going to save this one also inside the code folder just to check whether the code is working. Right, I'm going to prove you that student of Java. Right, now let's compile Java C test.java. If it is okay, the both files should get compiled. Then if I type Java test, it should work. Right, student says hello. Right, now I'm going to delete these class files now. I don't need the class files, right? Now I have these code folders. Now, as the diagram shows, I'm going to create another folder called com inside the code folder, right? And you cannot create the folder called com, is it? Yes, you can, right? Yes. Okay. For the com folder, I'm going to put the student file. Now, student file is inside the com folder. Now, student file is inside the com folder like this. Okay. Right now, if I try to compile now, I will get an error now. Now in the test class, I'm trying to create a student object, but student class cannot find. Symbol class student cannot find. Why? Because I can't find the student class because it is not available here. Now in this scenario, now I need to mention, okay, The student class is another location, right? Now in Java, we use packages. Right, now we need to mention, okay. Right, now let's open it. File open. It's inside the com folder. Right, now I need to mention it as now. This is inside the package. This is inside the package com. This is inside the package com. Why? Because this student class is inside the package com, right? Student class is inside the package com. Right now here I need to say, okay, now I'm importing import com. Com is the package, class name is the student. Import com.student. Import com.student. I need to mention, okay, I'm importing the student class. Right now I am trying to import it. Now I'm getting another error. Right now it says what? The cannot access student import.com.student bad source file. Inside com student.java file, remove or make sure it appears the correct subdirectory of the source file. Right now, this is the package name com. I have mentioned import com.student. Right now, it says now it cannot find out. One reason could be now here the student class here is not a public class. Therefore, cannot visible to the outsiders. Right. Therefore, let's make it as a public class. Right. Now, if you want to make it as a public class, remember the class name and the file name should be the same. Right. If it is a public class, class name and the file name should be the same. Right. Once you make it as a public class, then only outsiders can see the student class because not in the same folder, not in the same package. Therefore, outside the package, you cannot see. Now, Java access permissions, right? Now, we will be discussing later. Now, in order to make it accessible, visible to the others, you need to make it as a public class. Even if you make it as a public class and if it is not a public method, right now, again, you will get an error. Right now, if you compile, you will get an error saying class is accessible, but the say hello is not public, therefore cannot access from the outside package. If you want to access outside class members, it has to be a public permission. Then it has to be declared as public. Then only you will be able to access. Right now, this is how you can do it. Now you can access it. Right now, this is what we did for the scanner class as well. Right now, this is our test class. I wanted to run the say hello method available in the student class. Now, student class inside the com package. Student class is inside the com package. So, I need to say import com.student. Import com.student. Right now, this is how we use the import the scanner as well. Import Java inside the java.utilities dot scanner. Class name is scanner. Use the scanner. And I'm going to create the scan object. How I'm going to do it? Scanner variable. You can have any name equals new. I'm going to call the constructor. Now we need to pass out. We need to pass input stream. How are you going to get the inputs? Whether you're going to read a file or using a file, you're going to get the input or using the console. So we have to say system.in stream. System.in. And now this is what we did by creating an object for the scanner class. Right now, this class name is scanner. So we have to import because it's not in the same place. Scanner class located inside the java.util package. Java.util package. Then I'm mentioning import the scanner class which is inside the java.util package. And here I am creating an object from the scanner class. Now the same thing I did. I wanted to import the student class, right? Now the student class was inside the com package, com folder. Then the student class was declared package com. So I have mentioned, okay, I want to import the student first. Import com.student. And I want to create an object from the student class in order to access it. So I need to create a variable of the student type. Then student S is the object name. Using the new keyword, you're going to create a new object, new instance, and you need to initialize it by calling the constructor. You call the constructor. See, the student is the constructor. And the scanner class also, we did the same thing. Okay, try out this quickly. If you have any questions, quickly ask. And I'm going to move into if conditions. Any questions up to now, you can ask now. Please try out this. Now, already we have discussed about the data types and the data type conversion and automatic type conversion and the casting we discussed. And then we discussed about the operators. Under the operators, we have discussed. And then now I'm going to talk about and right now how the conditional statements in Java, how the conditional statements are handled in Java. What are the types of conditional statements available in Java? Right now, the name it says conditional, condition. Right now, when there's a condition, right? Now, condition statements. Right now, you may have already heard about if conditions. Right now, we have if, and then we have if else, and then sometimes we have else if, else if, and thereafter else, and thereafter you have switch statements. Right now, there are uh, different ways of achieving to test the conditions in our program. Right. Now let's see how these are working. Because right now you have already checked the relational operators. Now we have checked the less than and less than or equals, greater than and greater than or equals, not equals. Likewise, we have learned these relational operators already. Right now, since we have already learned about the relational operators as well, now uh, we know that if you want to combine these many conditions, if you want to check, we can use the AND operator. We discuss over the you can use the O operator or short circuit AND operator or short circuit operator. Likewise, we have discussed about the logical operators as well that you can combine multiple conditions can be checked at the same time by combining with these logical operators as well. So now you have an idea how these relational operators are working and how the logical operators are working. Now you know that for sure. Right now these relational operators like now when you compare a less than b, then it will return a boolean value which is a true or false. Now it will return a boolean value which will return a true, which will return either true or false. Likewise, then for all. Right now, for these logical operators, operands are boolean values. You have true and true or false. Likewise, you can have boolean values as the operands, and then the result also here. These now for an example, if it is true and true will result also a boolean value. Now this also will result in a boolean value. Right now, these are the things that you can use inside the conditional statements. Right now in Java, especially we're going to talk about the if conditions. Right, if. Right now we have if condition. Right now we have first of all if condition. If conditions are used to check a specific condition, we check the condition. Right now here, we check the condition inside the brackets. If the condition is true, if the condition is true, you're gonna execute the body statements. Right now, we have the body statements. That means if the condition is true. Condition is true. Right now, this is how the if condition is working. Right now, we'll have a small program how the if condition is working. Right. Now, for an example, I'm going to write. Now, I want to get a user input. I'm asking user to enter the age. Oh, yes, age. Right now, so integer age. Right now, let's print out as well that user needs to enter the age. So system dot out dot println system dot out dot println what is your age? Right. Then age is equals to, now we know scan object dot next int. Right now, okay. If the user age, right now, if the user's age, if it is 18, above 18, I would say you can vote. You can vote. Right now, we're going to check the condition. If now the condition age variable is greater than or equals to 18. If this is true, if this is true, I need to say, okay, you can vote. Okay, you can vote. You can vote. You can vote. Right. Right now, and I'm gonna say, thank you. Right. Right now, if I compile my test class right now, it will ask what is your age. If it is 10, it just say thank you. Now you can see here it won't display this thing. Right now, if I say 20, it says you can vote. Now it shows you can vote. And if it is 18, it says you can vote. If it is 10, you cannot vote. If it is 100, it says you can vote. Likewise, it would represent that whether you can vote or not. Likewise. Now try out this. Okay, now quickly write a program, take an input and check if the number is positive. I want you to check if print positive, print positive if the number is positive, and print even number, if the number is even, positive even, positive even. Print matching numbers if two inputs are the same. Right now, I want you to quickly do these three questions and send me the answer via chat soon. My question is to first to check whether the given number is a positive, print positive if the number is positive only. Right now, if it is greater than 0, you say it is positive, right? And second one is to check whether the given number print even if the number is greater than 0 and even if it is positive, and you check whether if it is even, right? Now print matching numbers. If two inputs are the same, you get the number 1 and number 2. Right now, let's try it out. Number 1, 10. Then it says positive even number. Number 2, 10. This matching number. If it is minus 10, nothing printed from the first two because not positive, you know. Number 2, 5. Then it says nothing printed because not match this one. Right now you could do one by one. Here the first you could do this. Right now, first of all, first question is this. You only check whether the given number is positive. If it is positive, it says positive. Right now, the second one is to check whether it is even, whether it is even number and is positive. And then you can say if number is greater than 0 and you can say number modulus 2 equals 0, right? If it is even number, right now. Okay, then this is Java test.java because the previous now why we get this answer when I say Java test, we got the answer, and the reason for that is here student says hello we got, that is because of inside the desktop, inside the code folder, still the class file was there. Now that's why we got that, right? Okay. Now number 10 positive, if it is we have to print positive and even.
So what's the difference between using two and symbols and one and symbol?
Where were you when we were talking about the operators? Were you there?
One day
Did you
I missed.
attend to the all lectures?
No, one day I missed.
Did you watch the recording?
I couldn't watch the entire recording.
Yes. Okay, search about under Java operators, we have discussed about logical operators. And then there is a one operator like show AND operator, right? And then there's some when you use two AND operator signs, then we call it as short circuit AND operator, right? Now the one who was there in the lecture, quickly tell me what's the difference between normal AND operator and short circuit AND operator. Quickly tell me.
The short circuit operator checks if it's possible by checking the first one. If the first one is false and it is an AND operator, then it's displays as false because it's always a false.
Yes. Right now, if it is false and whatever you have, okay, we know that, right? If it is true and true, now there are only four scenarios, right? True and true, true and false, and then we have false and false, false and true, and false and false. Right now, true and true will result true, true and false will result in false. False and false will result in false and true will result in false, and false and false will result in false. Right. Now, if it is the first operand, if it is true, then we need to check the second operand as well. Then only we can determine the answer. But if the first operand is false, no need to check the second operand, no matter what it is. Right now, even we don't need to know whatever it is because it is false. Whatever it is, it's going to be false. The result is false. So right now, when you use the short circuit AND operator, now if the first operand is false, it won't check the second one. Because no point, because anyway the answer is false. But if it is the AND operator, it will check this. If it is the AND operator, it will check the both operands. If it is the normal AND operator, it checks the both operands. It will evaluate the both operands and then will display the result. But if it is the short circuit version, if the first one is false, it won't check the second operand. No matter what you have, here it's going to be false. By any chance, if it is true, then we have to check the second operand. Then whether it is true or false, we have to check, right? Then only we can say the answer. But if the first operand is false, no matter what you have here, it will give you the false as the answer. Therefore, when you use the short circuit version, it will check the second operand only when it is necessary. Is that clear? If it is not clear, Dulaj, I am strongly recommend you to
It's
refer the
clear.
record. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Right. Then this is how we did for the positive and even. Right.
So, yeah, is
Yeah.
this only for the integer values? If we input only integer values, right? Or this is acceptable?
Which one, Pute?
This coding, like if we input two numbers, only the integers, not the floating, right? We have to change the coding if we are using like we input 4.2 likewise to get the
Right.
result.
Okay. The two numbers. If the two numbers are right now here,
Yeah.
right in this one, it won't display positive and even because floating points won't be even numbers. No. Therefore, right. Therefore, this scenario it won't work. But if it is, let's say, if we have only this condition to be checked, if it is positive only, we are checking whether it is positive. And let's say we gonna take a float number and next float. Right. So if I have 1.5, 10.56, so right then it says positive. Yes. Right now this operator works for the float as well. It doesn't matter because now this is just the now here number is greater than zero. Now number is greater than zero. This operator is greater than. We check whether it returns true or false. Right now let's go for the second one as well as you asked. Right now if you want to check the second number, number two, let's say number one and number two. Right now, if you get the two numbers and you want to check whether if the two numbers are equals, you put number one equals number two. If number one is equals to number two, we're gonna say matching numbers. Right now, we're gonna say matching numbers. Right now, if we use enters 10.5655 and then if user enters a different number then it won't display anything, but if it is 10.5566 and 10.5566 then it's a matching number because we are taking a floating point. Because if you take an integer and if you convert it to a float, yes, then you will lose the precision, then it might not be matching in that scenario. Is that clear?
Yes.
Was it the question you asked today?
Yeah, that's the thing. Because if we should be able to enter any number like either integer or floating.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yes, you can enter any number right now in the scenario. Depends on the right requirement. You can take whether it is now here. I haven't mentioned like whether it is and now okay. Now here when it says check whether it is an even number. Right now, let's say I won't check whether it is an even number as well. Right now, if it is a floating point, can I check whether it is even? Let's say I'm going to put another if condition. If number 1 modulus 2 equals 0, or let's say I'm just checking, right? Number 2 modulus 2 equals 0 right now, or this you can't just type 4, right? Now, right now either one of either number is one of this. One is even. Then I can say at least one number. At least one number is even. Right now, if I do it like this, like the 10.55 and 10.5, then only this won't get displayed, right? Right now, but if any chance, if I type 10.0, 10.0, then at least one number is even. If I just enter 1010, or if I enter 100, 100, or 112, something like this, at least one number is even, because if it is one number is even, it would represent, it would trigger this if condition and it will display this. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Now, all the time, we have checked this, and then if the condition is true, then only we displayed. But if the condition is false, we did not do anything. Right now, the first scenario, if it is a positive, we need to check whether, let's say, the first scenario, if the number one is greater than 0, that's what we check. If the number 1 is greater than 0, then if so, right now we displayed it's a positive number, right? We displayed a positive number. All right, now we can, if you want, you can display the number 1, whatever the number you have entered, then you can say is positive. Right, now if it is not, you can mention it as using else. Else. Then you can say, if it is not a positive number, then obviously it is a negative number. Right now we could put if and else, if and else. Let's interrupt this. Right now, if it is 10, it says 10 is positive. If it is minus 5, it says negative. If it is 0, it says negative. Why? It gives you 0.0 because we are taking a float input. We are taking a float input. That's why here it shows as a decimal value. If you don't want, you can take it as an integer. Right now for the time being. Right? So if it is 2, it says positive. If it is 0, it says negative. If it is negative minus 1, it says negative. But the problem is now 0 is not a negative number, right? 0 doesn't have true or false. So we have problem now. Therefore, this is not a matching example. Positive and negative. 0 is not negative, right? 0 is not positive, neither negative. Therefore, you can't say if the number 1 is greater than 0 false, just you can't display negative because 0 is not negative. No, then we have to check again. Because when you check a number, there are 3 scenarios. Greater than 0, equal 0, less than 0. Right. But we could check whether either it is a negative or positive or even number. Right now, number 1 modulus 2 equals 0. Right, then you can say it is even. Otherwise, you can say it's odd. Right, if it is even, no, if it is odd, we can say if it is 5, it says odd. If it is 4, it says even. If it is 10, it says even. If it is 3, it says odd. Right, now likewise, you could do it. right? Now, right. So, positive or negative. Right now, we can do this odd or even. You can do right. Okay, if you have two numbers, let's say, find the print the largest number. Print the largest number from two user inputs. Right now, I want you now, even number part, we have done it now already. I want you to print the largest number, the maximum number from the given two number. And I want you to try, because inside the else also you could put if conditions. Okay, try this one quickly, largest number, then we'll try one more thing, and thereafter I can give you some exercises. For this, you don't have much time, okay? Only 1 minute. Just put the else part now. Right now, if you have to do find the largest number from the two numbers you have. So let's take the second number as well, number 1, number 2. I'm gonna have number 1 and number 2. Then what I'm gonna do, if number 1 is greater than number 2, then you can say max max. You can say number 1 because it's a largest, right? Now otherwise you can say max is number 2. Because you wanted to find the largest number, no? If it is 10 and 15, max 15. If it is 2, 5 and 1, max is 5. Likewise, it will display. Right now, we know that. Now, how to find the number. Right now, again, one more thing I'm going to tell you. In Java, if you are using only one line as the body statement, like this, you don't need to put the brackets because Java will recognize the immediate line after the body as its body statement. Right now here now Java doesn't worry about the indentation. If you do it like this, see, it says 5, 1 and 5, max is 5. Right now even after something like this you have, let's say here we have hello. Oh, thank you. Right now you have, let's say now all together, right? If it is 1 and 5, it says max is 5, thank you. If it is 5 and 1, it says thank you. And now you can see here it won't take. Right now, even in order to improve the readability, we use the indentation, we use the spaces, right? Now that's what you have to remember. Now, even if you put it like this, if the second number is largest, let's say in the scenario where the second number is the largest, 56, then it says max is 56 and then it represents thank you. But if the first number is large, 56 and 1, it says max is 56, thank you. Therefore, now you can see here, it won't print this as the else part. Therefore, this is common because even if you have not put the brackets right now, if you put the brackets, then if you put the brackets, now you know that it is only available then. If it is the first number is largest, it won't say thank you. If the second number is the largest, it would say max is 53 and thank you. Because it's inside the else part. But if you do not put the brackets, then immediate line after the if or else will consider as its body. So if it is 1 and 53, then it says max 53 and thank you. But if the first number is also, greater than, it says max 53 and thank you. That is because of, now this line is not recognized as its body statement. Therefore, remember now, if you are using if conditions and if you do not use the brackets, because you can only use this without brackets if you are having only one statement in the if body. If it is only one statement, then only you can do this, you can write without the brackets. Because since still we are learning, it's as a habit, you better write the brackets because then it will you can practice, no? But later on, if it is just a one line, you don't have to put the brackets. Remember that. If it is just a line. Right now, the next question is whether it is a even number or positive number that we need to check. Right now, if you want to check whether it is even or positive, negative or positive, then we could do something like this. We can get the if condition, that means first number, then we check whether the number is greater than 0. If the number is greater than 0, we could say the number is positive, whatever the number is positive. But there's a problem now. What is the problem? Now, if this is false, what are the other things it could happen?
It can be negative or 0.
Yes, the number could be a negative or 0. Right, number could be negative or 0. Therefore, if it comes to else, that means what? The number variable may contain either a negative value or a 0. Therefore, now we don't know about that. No? Therefore, inside the if also, we could put another, inside the else, we could put another if condition. Right, now how can you do that? Right, now, right now we can say if the number is equals to 0, we can say is 0. Number is 0. Else, right now we have else, we can say number is negative. Number is negative. Right, now we close the bracket for this one. Here we are closing the bracket for this one here. Right, now we can say thank you. Right, now let's try it out. Now if it is 10, it says positive. If it is 0, it says 0. If it is a negative value, it says negative. Right, now what we did was inside the else, there are another scenario. So we have checked whether it is again we check the another condition whether it is equal to 0 or not. Okay, this is what we did. Right, now I want you to try out if you have given three numbers. If you have given three numbers, find the largest. So, if you have given three numbers, find the largest. Right, now, okay, I think I have the answer for this. Yes, right. Let me copy. You get the number one, number two. Okay, not this one. Mhm. Ah, previous one, no? Number one, number two. Okay, this is also old one. What about this number one, number two? Same thing. Oh, largest. Okay, you get the scan and then you get the number. First number, second number. This is also the previous answer. Right? Yes, you have to take three inputs. No? Right. What about this? You get the first number, you get the second number, you get the third number. Then if largest equals number 1, you say number 2 is greater than largest is number 2. If number 3 is greater than largest is number 3. Okay, any other ways of doing it? Right, now let's check whether it works. Right, now if I have 10, 20, 30, then it says 30 is the greatest. Then I'm gonna check 10, 30, 20. 30 is the greatest. 30, 10, 20, 30 is the greatest. Right. And 20, 20, 30, that is the greatest. 20, 30, 20. Right. Right. Is there any other way of doing it? Is it the only way of doing it? Others, tell me, what do you think?
We can use 8 if statements and check one by one.
Right, now here, we could do it like this as well now. Okay, this is correct, right? Now, we can check if the number 1, if number 1 is greater than or equals to what? Okay, tell me, I can do it now. Anyone else who has done it? You have to do this one, find the largest from 3 inputs.
If we check number 1 and number 2 with the number 1 and number 3 with the greater than or equal with
That means number
1.
1
Yeah.
greater than or equals to number 2.
Number 3, then the largest, the number 1, number. If we put the number 2 is greater than or equal to number 1
Now
and greater than or equal with number 2, number 3, then the number 1 is the largest one.
right, now what you're going to say is first you're going to check whether the number 1 is greater than number 2 and number 1 is greater than or equals to number 3. If so, we can print directly the largest is, we can say the largest number is number 1. Then
Again the
else.
number 2. Yes.
Right, now is it else? Now if it is not, then we can say else. If it is not the scenario, we can again have else if number 2
Greater than or equal number 1 and
we can check if the number 2 is greater than or equals to number 1, and number 2 is greater than or equals to number 3, then you can say largest is number 2. Largest is number 2. Now, if it is not, now this bracket is closed for this if condition, right? Okay. And otherwise you can have else. largest is number 3. And this bracket has to close for this else statement. And for these cells we haven't closed yet. So that we need to close it here. And this is for the main method, and this is for the class, right? What are the errors? Here, semicolons are missing here. If it is 10, 20, and 30, it says 30. If it is 30, 10, and 20, it is 30 and 10, 20, 30, and 20. Largest is 30. Likewise, you can do it. Right. Right, there are several ways as well. Right now, the way you did previously was using the largest variable, right? What was the way you have done? Okay, you have sent me the answer as well. All right. Now, this is matter of the way you think. Now, the way you figure out. Now, yes, there is no right and wrong. So, whatever the way, if the logically, if it is right for all the cases, that's it. Then later on, we can think of what happens of the performance wise. Right now, the code, that means whether is there any unnecessary loops are there, or right now unnecessary conditions are being checked. Likewise, that's what you need to check. Now, this is how you have done it previously. This is how we have done it. Now, yes, then obviously someone say, okay, this is easier because only 2 conditions has been checked. Here, only 2 conditions has been checked. Now, in my case, like now you can see 1 condition, 2, 3, 4, 4 conditions has been checked here. Right. Likewise, you could do it. If you don't want to combine together, if you don't want to do it like this, what you can do, right? If you don't want to relate this to each right now, rather using this, you could have done it like this. Then number 1, number 2, number 3. If number 1, this one should be number 2 is greater than number 1, and number 2 is greater than this. If number 3, number 2 and number 3 is greater than number 1. Three separate if conditions. Now in this scenario also, now it checks for 3 separate if conditions. Right now you could have done it like this as well. Right now, this is using 3 separate if conditions. Right now, therefore, there is no any exact way of doing this. There are many other ways of achieving this. Then this is the logic what you are putting onto it, and then you can figure it out. Right. So now this question I did not receive the answers from everyone for these 2. I want you to complete it and send it to me via in the WhatsApp group. We can share the answers in the WhatsApp group. So please make sure when you come in the next day, you practice this and come, and then it would be easier for us to do it. Right. Okay, now, any questions up to now you can ask.